USC Trojans just wrapped up Wednesday practice. We were able to speak with defensive coordinator D'Anton Lynn, DeCharlos Nicholson, Braylon Conley, among a few others. Let's get right into a quick, rapid recap from practice. Hey, what's up, Trojan family? Welcome to the USC LAFB show here on the LAFB Network. I am your host, Ryan Dyrud. As promised, live from the Dyrud Dojo here in the beautiful Downey structure on USC's campus. Just wrapped up Wednesday's practice where we talked to a number of defensive players and obviously Coach D'Anton Lynn as well. So quick little just update for you from practice. No real injury news. I know a lot of you have been asking about Floyd Bacard. I've said on a few previous interviews or few previous videos, and I still believe this to be true, that he is trending like he will play on Saturday against Iowa. However, we don't have any confirmation on that and probably won't get any until that the Big Ten releases the injury report 2 hours before kickoff, where I anticipate him to still be listed as questionable, but certainly is trending in the right direction, has continued ramping up his practice schedule, and so hopeful that he will be back this week. If not this week, I feel very confident that he will be back against Oregon in 2 weeks. Really have just loved to see his development, and I think he is becoming a big piece of this defensive line, or at least he was before injuries. We'll see how up to speed he is when he is healthy and how many reps he will get. And as I mentioned yesterday, Carlin Jones has started to fill in a little bit in his place. The young redshirt freshman continues to get more reps in practice. We've seen his reps amplify during the games as well. D'Anton Lynn spoke about him briefly today, just about earning their trust in practice, doing things the right way. He mentioned early in his career, so last year as a true freshman, just kind of came in to spring, to fall, to practice with some nicks and bruises, so was never really fully healthy even throughout the whole season, so could never get a ton of practice reps, which is what you need to do to build confidence and trust from the coaching staff to give you game reps. So this has been the first year, and it's only his redshirt freshman year, but where he has been consistently healthy, and so then he's been able to consistently make plays in practice and earn the trust of the staff. So as I said yesterday in this recap, I do expect Jones to get more reps this week, especially if Floyd Bacard is unable to go. So, a good sign of development, and, you want Floyd back, obviously, but it's great that, another freshman has started to develop and can take those reps and seize that situation. So, on that, D'Anton Lynn spoke about consistency. That was the word he kept saying. We've said it a lot throughout the season and throughout this defense's development, is they've shown flashes, but they've just been inconsistent. They've become a lot more consistent over the last 2 weeks, specifically in the second half, and they've shown semblances of being a really dominant defense. I mean, you give up 6 points in 4 quarters. I don't care who you're playing. That is some good defensive play. Now it's being consistent in all 4 quarters in a singular game, coming out, starting fast, and whatnot. So, DeCharlos Nicholson actually was asked about that a little bit, and I think it was DeCharlos, trying to think of different scrums that I was in throughout the evening, but spoke on the fact that you come in with a game plan with specific play calls and kind of what you're anticipating the offense to do, and if the offense doesn't do that, you have to make adjustments and in-game adjustments, and they've been able to do that at a high level, then coming out in the second half and executing much better. So, you still got to be able to execute in that first drive, not give up a touchdown and whatnot, and adapt on the fly and really just do your job. So, you still, like the great defenses do that, right? Like that it doesn't take them necessarily 2 quarters to get things right. I think this team is getting to that point. They're not quite there yet. But the fact that they can at least make that adjustment and come out in the second half and be dominant, that is a massive step in the right direction. And then you just, leak that down early on in the games, and you're going to see a lot more success from this defensive unit. And so we've certainly seen players buying in a lot more, trusting one another, trusting the play calls that are being given, trusting their gap assignments in the run game. So certainly I think that is trending the right way. We'll see if they can do it for all 4 quarters, and they'd love to be able to do that this week against Iowa. I spoke with Desman Stephens, who has put out his 2 best games as a starting linebacker for the USC Trojans. And I think it was actually him that mentioned that. You come out in the first possession and you kind of have a game script, if you will. Obviously, everyone knows about the offensive game scripts. You kind of have a little bit with that at defense, too, or at least what you anticipate a team to do based on what you've seen on tape and whatnot. And so, how they've adjusted after that game script maybe hasn't gone to plan is what they've been able to do in trusting each other and trying to be more consistent in the second half. So, the big quote from him, I think, was going against, just the excitement of going against a team like Iowa that is such a run-heavy, trenches team. And he said it's a linebacker's dream. You really just got to get in the box and get dirty. And that is what they're going to have to do. I mean, this is an Iowa team last week that between the starting running back and the quarterback ran the ball 35 times just between the two of them. And, they can throw the ball when needed, but certainly their running back is a more run-heavy, their quarterback is a more run-heavy quarterback. So can Desmond Stephens, can Eric Gentry, can, Jaden Walker, these other linebackers that may rotate in, how are they going to be in gap containment helping this defensive line out? Because when you're seeing the run game come at you 35 plus times, like we saw against Michigan last year, where they were not able to completely slow it down, how do they respond to that? So Stephens excited, as is the entire defense, in order for that challenge. And we'll see how they do and look early. And, DeCharlos Nicholson asked about, when you play a team that is so run heavy, how does that affect your job as a cornerback? And he said, not at all. It doesn't. Like, you have to be ready for when they do throw the ball. Otherwise, they're going to beat you and make you look silly. And so you can't be one-dimensional as a defense. Even if the offense wants to be one-dimensional, you really have to still have that 2-prong adaptability and different attack, because then they can beat you over the top and take advantage of you cheating in. So I know a lot of fans, and rightfully so, are immediately like, stack the box. Why are we not stacking the box? And I agree with you. There are moments, I think, where you kind of want to force them to beat you over the top, because I don't think Iowa's really proven they can do that. But will we see USC come out the gate stacking the box? Or are they going to play their normal kind of 4-2-5 and play a little soft to begin with? And soft, I mean, just like with that personnel, not mentality, but play it a little soft and kind of see what Iowa gives them early and then make those adjustments later on. Or are they going to come out right out the gates, going real box heavy, putting 7 in the box and just having, really 4 back against the passing game? I would lean more towards the former, just based on what we've seen this defense do through, 8-9 games this season so far. But if there's any team that stacked the box early against, it would be this Iowa Hawkeye team. So defense certainly looks fired up. They look ready to have this challenge bestowed upon them in what's looking like it's going to be a rainy game at the Collie, 12:30 p.m. kickoff time. So those are your real updates. I think just a team that's looking to be more consistent defensively and excited about the challenge of playing a really run-heavy team and how they can do that. And, last thing, D'Anton Lynn mentioned the quarterback, Gronowski, for Iowa is just a big kid. So there's a lot of running quarterbacks that are elusive. There's kind of dual threats. Like, he's going to punish you. He's a punishing quarterback that can really throw his body around, and that they do a lot of run-first concepts, not just kind of like, drop back to pass. If the first read's not there, take off. And so have to be ready for that, keeping him in the pocket, but also knowing that he is going to use his legs often in this game and able to neutralize that and really cut down the big plays. So, he said the way we're going to win this game and more games going forward, it sounds simple, but it's consistency, it's stopping the run, and stopping explosive plays. Those 3 things. And that is a very simple mantra, but it's very true in kind of what's been this defense's Achilles heel earlier on in the season, specifically against Illinois, Notre Dame, was they weren't consistent. They showed some flashes, but definitely weren't consistent. They were not able to stop the run, and they gave up multiple explosive plays. So since then, they've been much more consistent. They've been much better against the run, certainly much better in the second half, and they've really not given up many explosive plays, at least not anything more than, like, they haven't given up those 60-yard touchdown plays, right? There's been, like, 12-yard gains, 14-yard gains. Like, I think in the Nebraska game and the Northwestern game, there was, like, one run of, like, 25 yards, but there's been nothing like we saw in Notre Dame, nothing like we saw in Illinois. So they're starting to check those boxes. Now to do it again against Iowa, and things could look good for USC. All right, I'll leave it at that. We'll have plenty more all week, as you know, daily content here on the USC LAFB YouTube channel. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. Helps us out a ton. Become a member if you want to help us out financially. Helps me out, my family out, our rest of our families out here with USC LAFB. And make sure to check out LAFBnetwork.com for everything USC and everything Los Angeles sports. I'm Ryan Dyrud. Thank you, as always, family. Fight on. Hey, Trojan family. Thank you so much for hanging out and watching the USC LAFB show. Before you go, let me tell you quickly about our friends over at Sleeper. Go right now, download the Sleeper app. It's the #1 sports app, not just for season-long fantasy, but they've got live pickers. They've got live stat updates. They've got a chat that you can chat with other users, plus the daily pick'em, which is a blast, or daily fantasy, whatever you want to call it. You go and pick 2 to 8 players across any sports. If you're talking USC, go choose Jide Abasiri in his next matchup. Pick more or less passing yards, more or less touchdowns. You stack those, and you can win real money. When you go to make your first deposit, make sure you use our promo code USCLAFB. You're going to get a match deposit up to $100. Put in $100, you get $100 free to play with from Sleeper. Put in $10, they'll match you that $10, so now you're sitting at $20 to play with. But also, right now, for any new users, no deposit required. You get $20 free entry. You can stack both. You can get the $20 for free. Go make a deposit. Use USC LAFB, and now you've got a bunch of free money to play with right there on the Sleeper app. Check it out, Trojan family, and when you do, tell them the guys at the USC LAFB sent you.